Good morning, I'm Paolo del Rosario. Welcome to Weather HQ on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Today's headlines. Pag-asa says Tropical Depression Hiner has slightly weakened as it interacts with the Cordilleras. It earlier made its landfall in Isabela. Meantime, the Weather Bureau continues to monitor Tropical Storm Pulasan east of Central Luzon. We'll talk to Pag-asa later on to see whether Pulasan will enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility. Due to inclement weather, face-to-face classes are suspended in several areas in Luzon today in public and private schools. The full list is on your screen. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council says it is verifying 9 fatalities from the combined effects of the enhanced southwest monsoon and tropical cyclones Ferdy and Hiner. And a non-profit organization helps struggling farmers feed the nation with pride. We'll get to know more about Rural Rising Philippines. Preparations are in place in Pangasinan as Tropical Depression Hiner is expected to exit landmass in the vicinity by noon today. Our correspondent Francis Falve is there. Good morning. How's the weather over there?
Yes, Paolo, the sun is up and there were no signs of Tropical Depression Hiner here in Lingayen, Pangasinan since last night. Local and provincial disaster risk reduction and management officers, however, are still on standby for the effects of the coming storm. Classes were suspended but employees have come out to report for work. The Pangasinan PDRRMO is monitoring the effects of Hiner and they are grateful to learn that some fair weather conditions were reported in Isabela and Cagayan. The province is still under tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 along with some provinces in Luzon, including portions of Metro Manila. Provinces in the northern and central Luzon are also prepared for the possible effects of the storm. The response teams will continue to monitor as Tropical Depression Hiner is expected to exit landmass by noon. Hiner is also enhancing the southwest monsoon, which could bring heavy rains that may cause flooding and landslides. Paolo, back to you.
That was Francis Falve reporting from Pangasinan. At 3 a.m. today, the center of Tropical Depression Hiner was estimated based on all available data in the vicinity of Alicia Isabela. It has a maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers an hour per hour near the center and a gustiness of up to 70 kilometers per hour. Now, Hiner maintains its strength while moving westward over northern Luzon at over 30 kilometers an hour. Now, tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 is raised over the Cagayan, including the Babuyan Islands, Isabela, Quirino, and Nueva Vizcaya, Apayao, Kalinga, Abra, Ifugao, Mountain Province, Benguet, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Zambales, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, the northern and central portions of Bataan, Dinalupihan, Orani, and Hermosa in particular, as well as Aurora, the northern portion of Quezon, and General Nakare and Infanta. Polillo Islands are also affected, the northern portions of Rizal, Rodriguez, San Mateo, northern portion of Metro Manila, including Quezon City, Caloocan City, City of Valenzuela, City of Malabon, City of Navotas, Marikina, Manila, and San Juan, as well as Mandaluyong. Now, residents of the said area should expect winds of up to 39 to 61 kilometers per hour, and all that may be expected in the next 36 hours at the least, with intermittent rains to be expected within that time. Tropical Depression Hiner will bring moderate to heavy with at times intense rains with gusty winds here in Metro Manila and the Ilocos region, as we mentioned a while ago, with Hiner being over in this area. Now, the Cagayan Valley will also be affected, as well as Central Luzon and Rizal and Quezon. This kind of weather will bring minimal to minor threat to lives because of the strong winds. As you can see, here's the path of Tropical Depression Hiner, with the southwest monsoon being affected as well by the tropical depression. Now, take a look at the gale warning signals. Meanwhile, because of rains with gusty winds brought by Tropical Depression Hiner in the southwest monsoon, Pag-asa issued a gale warning, particularly in the northern seaboard of northern Luzon, the Babuyan Islands, Batanes, Cagayan, Ilocos Norte, and of course, we now move on to the western seaboards of southern Luzon and Visayas. This includes Palawan, Occidental Mindoro, Negros Occidental, Guimaras, Iloilo, Antique, and Aklan. The southern seaboard of southern Luzon is also affected. Eastern and central seaboards of Visayas, Siquijor, southern Leyte, Oriental Mindoro, Bohol, Cebu, Negros Oriental, and the western and northern, as well as the eastern seaboards of Mindanao, including Surigao del Norte. Coastal areas of these said areas will be expected to experience rough to very rough sea conditions. Sea travel is risky for small sea craft, including all motor bangkas. Mariners of these vessels are advised to remain in port or seek safe harbor. Now, aside from Tropical Depression Hiner, there's another tropical cyclone that Pag-asa is monitoring based on the latest monitoring of Pag-asa. Tropical Storm Pulasan was last seen located 1,980 kilometers east of central Luzon. It has a maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of around 80 kilometers per hour. Now, it is expected to move north-northwestward at 15 kilometers per hour, as you can see over here. We'll have more updates on that. Now, to know more about what to expect in the coming hours for these two tropical cyclones, we have on the phone Pag-asa weather specialist Cignal Dominguez. Good morning, Cignal.
Magandang umaga din po sa inyo at magandang umaga din po sa mga tagapakinig po natin.
Okay, Cignal, unahan muna natin Tropical Depression Hiner. Now, given its current location, may posibilidad ba na mag-intensify pa to into a higher category of a tropical cyclone?
Sa nakikita po natin ngayon po, ito po yung 7 a.m. location po niya, vicinity po ng Baguio, Nueva Vizcaya. Sa nakikita naman po natin, ito po yung nasa kalupaan, so hindi po natin inaalis ang posibilidad na ito yung mag-weaken into a low pressure area. Pero sa nakikita natin, possible, pagtawid po niya ng kalupaan natin, abot pa po ng tropical storm category.
Cignal, right now, nakita natin kung saan yung Hiner. You mentioned that yung expectations to strengthen into a tropical storm as it moves far away from land. Ano mga impacto nito? Like, what can we expect dito sa Pilipinas? Will it affect the southwest monsoon?
Yes po, asahan po natin na ini-enhance din po nito ang southwest monsoon. So malaking bahagi po dito sa Mimaropa, Visayas ang makakaranas po ng mga pag-ulan dulot ng southwest monsoon.
There are many areas in Luzon that is under signal number 1. Now, what should the residents of these areas expect?
So expect po natin, kaya po tayo naglabas ng tropical cyclone wind signal 1. Kung nakikita naman po natin, maaraw pa po sa atin sa ngayon para ito po ay maghanda po ang ating mga kababayan po within the next 36 hours. Possible po na malakas na pagbulan at pagbugso po ng hangin.
Na-monitor din po natin yung Pulasan outside the Philippine Area of Responsibility, the Tropical Storm Pulasan. Are there any possibilities na papasok ito sa Philippine Area of Responsibility?
Yes po, sa nakikita po natin, possible po pumasok po ito bukas po ng gabi. Kaya asahan din po natin, ito po itatawagin po nating Helen.
Alright, so we'll keep updates on that as well. Maraming salamat. That was Cignal Dominguez from Pag-asa. Now let's take a look at the weather from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Let's start off first with Luzon. We are expecting a downpour for almost all parts of the region. As you can see here in Metro Manila, you're going to experience heavy to intense rains, especially in the northern part where tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 is raised. Now, as you can see here, Tuguegarao in particular will also experience a bit of the monsoon rains and very similar weather conditions all around, with Puerto Princesa having a bit less of the poor weather conditions here, with around 31 degrees and 30 degrees being the sort of temperatures we can expect, with Baguio being the coolest as expected, with 23 degrees Celsius being the high in these areas. Now, these scattered rainfalls are caused by the combined effects of Tropical Depression Hiner and the enhanced southwest monsoon. Further south, let's check out the Visayas region. Residents in Bacolod should prepare for rain and gusty winds due to the enhanced southwest monsoon. Make sure you prepare your rain gear and be ready for all of that. Well, in Iloilo, you can expect occasional rainfall throughout the day and be prepared for some wet weather if you're heading out. As you can see here, Iloilo and Bacolod expecting wet weather, Bacolod in particular being affected by the southwest monsoon. Now, of course, if you're in Tacloban or Metro Cebu, you'll experience cloudy skies with rain showers and thunderstorms. Be aware of the possibility of flash floods and landslides, especially in the low-lying areas. Make sure you keep safe and keep an eye on the local weather updates. As you can see here, Tacloban and Metro Cebu clearly affected by that. Moving on to Mindanao, let's take a look at the forecast. In Zamboanga and Cagayan de Oro, make sure to bring your umbrella as cloudy skies with rain showers and thunderstorms are expected. Now, on a brighter note, the residents of Metro Davao can look forward to the fair weather conditions here today, around 33 degrees Celsius being the high in terms of temperature. Of course, Cagayan de Oro and Zamboanga, as we mentioned, having similar weather conditions there. Now, stay tuned for more weather updates, Weather HQ. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Weather HQ. Let's check the weather for the rest of the week. Here's a 3-day forecast from Pag-asa. As Tropical Depression Hiner continues to move westward, moderate to heavy rains are expected over in Metro Manila. Those who are going out to work, aside from your umbrellas, make sure you use raincoats to protect yourself from being wet. As you can see here, Wednesday to Friday, all the way here towards the end of the week, you can expect similar weather conditions with a high of around 31 degrees happening over on Wednesday. Of course, that will be the 3-day weather forecast over in Metro Manila. The enhanced southwest monsoon will also bring heavy to moderate rains in the Queen City up the south as we go further down over to the Visayas. You can check your rain gears and make sure that it's with you for the rest of the week as we see the weather here right now over in Metro Cebu. Similar weather conditions here, starting off from Wednesday all the way to Thursday. You're going to have the same type of weather and with no real respite with regards to that. But if you go even further down south over in Mindanao, weather is a bit different in Metro Davao City for the next 3 days. Good news for Davaoeños though. Feel free to do your errands for the rest of the week because generally a fair weather condition will prevail until Friday. So make sure you hydrate, keep yourselves safe throughout the time because the expected temperatures are expected to go up to around 33 degrees Celsius. So as you can see here, Wednesday all the way to Friday, similar weather conditions here with the sun shining a bit more than it does in the rest of the country. Now, of course, Shanghai came to a standstill as Typhoon Bebinca, the most powerful cyclone to hit the city in over 7 decades, made landfall. More than 400,000 people were evacuated and over 10,000 trees fell. Flights and trains were canceled. Parks and businesses were closed, and attractions like Shanghai Disney Resort shut down. The storm moved to the neighboring province of Jiangsu early afternoon, but rain was expected to continue. Tropical storm Bebinca is expected to dump heavy to intense heavy rains as it continues to move westward. Moving on to Africa, in Nigeria's flood-ravaged northern eastern province of Borno State, residents are struggling to access medical care amidst overwhelmed aid agencies, warning of potential waterborne disease outbreaks and over 30 people have died, impacting about 1 million individuals residing in camps without adequate resources. The situation strains aid organizations and exacerbates an already critical humanitarian crisis. The floods, attributed to heavy rainfall in a ruptured dam, also affected nearby countries in West and Central Africa. The flooding in West Africa coincides with the flooding in Europe due to heavy rainfall. Nigeria's government has warned about rising water levels in the country's largest rivers, potentially leading to floods in the oil-producing Niger Delta region in the south. Flooding has significantly increased the risk of waterborne diseases and exacerbated existing challenges such as malnutrition and immunosuppression. Several individuals, including Rohingya refugees, died and many others were injured in landslides caused by monsoon rains in southeastern Bangladesh. The landslides occur in Cox's Bazar, where over 1 million Rohingya live in overcrowded camps. In addition to the refugee camps, heavy rainfall also led to waterlogging in Cox's Bazar town. The area experienced the highest precipitation of the monsoon season with 378 millimeters of rainfall recorded in a 24-hour period. Bangladesh is still dealing with the aftermath of devastating floods caused by heavy rains and upstream water from India, which resulted in over 70 fatalities and displaced millions. Partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are expected in Bangladesh. Temperature may raise up to 34 degrees Celsius. Now, up next, a nonprofit organization helps farmers regain stability and feed the nation with pride. We'll get to know more about Rural Rising Philippines. Stay tuned. A design anthropologist who has an expertise in disaster risk reduction says there are many ways to help the Philippines improve its rank as the most at-risk country for 16 straight years. According to World Risk Index 2024, the country's score worsened to 46.91 from 46.86 a year earlier, the highest amongst 193 countries in the report. The WRI is computed based on exposure and vulnerability. Dr. Pamela Kahilig says there must be a drastic change, such as holding those in charge accountable and invest in long-term prevention of disasters instead of focusing on band-aid solutions. She adds there is a, quote, need for data systems that allow for multi-crisis analysis to strengthen the evidence-based for policy and action. Extreme weather events caused by climate change severely impacts agriculture. Filipino farmers are always at the forefront, finding new ways to adapt and help prevent shortages in the food supply. Nonprofit organization Rural Rising Philippines stepped up by buying produce from struggling farmers. I talked to the social enterprises founders, Ace and Andy Estrada, about how they address these challenges. Watch this.
Rural Rising is a child of the pandemic, Paolo. In April 2020, we posted a post on Facebook that spoke about farmers giving away their produce for free because they're not able to sell to middlemen coming up from Metro Manila. So when we posted that, it went viral and people started asking us, let's help the farmers bring the produce down to Metro Manila and we're going to buy it. So we brought down 3 tons of vegetables using a rented government truck. In 30 minutes, we were able to sell 3 tons and we were able to do it again and again and again throughout the pandemic. Before we knew it, we reached 20,000 kilos within 1 week. And then
Right now fast forward, we're at 4 million kilos of produce rescued.
Have you already seen a difference siguro in the habits, planting habits, the crops available throughout the years because of the changes we've been seeing as of late? Kasi parang ang bilis ng pagpalit ng klima in general.
Well, I think because we've always been inherently a typhoon-infested country, so these climate change, frankly speaking, I think it only changed their behavior and habits and planting processes only by a bit because they've always been ravaged by typhoons anyway. So, in fact, that's what we've been discussing na in terms of behavior, you know, the farmers, they got this mindset na ang pagtatanim is a gamble, is a sugal. So you never know whether you thought today is a good day and then tomorrow you wake up, something happens. But they've already developed that mindset. So what happens is the farmers, they don't really do anything in particular and big to help with the climate change. Wala yun. It's not impactful for them because they've been living with it for so very long.
Of course, right now we're seeing extreme weather events more often. Are you in some way affected by that as well, sa rural rising?
Very much. It affects the way we interact with the farmers, how we help them. It actually dictates the problems we need to solve for them. Recently with Typhoon Karina, we have to change hoses. Yung mga inanod, yung mga hoses in the rivers. Most of our farmers are dependent on rain irrigation. So with the advent of bad weather and climate change, what they plant and how they sell their vegetables and for how much is completely dictated by the weather.
Have you seen siguro a dip in production as well from the farmers? I know you're expanding how many farmers are actually helping and reaching, pero from a per farmer basis, do you see a fluctuation on the ground with regards to yung production nila?
Well, I would say we are rescuing less now. I'm not sure if that's a good thing in the sense that means they're doing well, but at the same time, it also means that they're not able. Because when we say rescue vegetables, we're not talking about bulok na. We're talking about these are still good ones, but there's just a lot of supplies.
We also have farmers that already made the decision to stop planting, like
that
give up.
too.
And this is probably the most worrying trend because kung producers ng food natin, they give up and suddenly they wake up and say, I won't plant anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. Then we're in trouble.
Why
We're
are they
gonna be
giving up,
hungry.
in your opinion? Or
There's
based on your experience, rather?
so much challenge to become a farmer these days. There's the costing, there's the weather, there's changing government policies on importation, challenges like competition from abroad for vegetables being imported to our country. It's just so hard. The problem with the farmers is not really about their ability to plant, but the marketing aspect of it, the logistics aspects of it, for this produce to reach a good market so that they could get a good price for their efforts so they can plant again. This is the biggest challenge of our farmers right now.
Can you tell us a bit more about yung rescue buy na process ninyo?
Our rescue buy.
So rescue buys, we go to the farmers and ask them what they have to sell, and we buy it for double the farm gate price. Whatever the price is ongoing right now in the farm, we pay double that, and then we bring it to Metro Manila to sell to our member consumers at half the price they get from Balintawak. So we call it saving the farmers and savings for the consumers. Some call it a win-win solution, but we call it personally a band-aid solution because it does not address the long-term problem of the farmers, only for that particular crop and only for that particular day
farmer.
and farmer.
And that's Weather HQ for today. I'm Paolo del Rosario, and we'll see you again tomorrow, whatever the weather, here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.